Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Wednesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, Lakers versus Thunder tonight. Are the Lakers ready? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter where you get your podcast, this one's always free, never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel, Andy, all of whom are celebrating with us the fact that the Locked On Network is, in fact, the number one podcast network in the entire universe, as far as I can tell. The copy says America, but I'm just going to go ahead and say the universe. And all of those people, Andy, are dialed into tonight's game. And it's a big one. It's the Thunder, who seem entirely unbeatable at this point, with a monstrous point differential that only increased given what they did to the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday night.
To be fair, the Warriors did not have Al Horford.
Or Steph.
No, they did have Steph.
Oh, they did? I think Steph played.
Steph just played poorly, but he did play. They had Steph.
I just assumed I saw that score.
Nope, they won by 24 points. They were actually the ones, the Thunder, missing more players. They did not have, obviously, Jaylen Williams, who has not played yet this season. They did not have Lu Dort. They did not have Aaron Wiggins, and they did not have a care in the world during this game because they curb stomped the Warriors without all those guys.
And this is what they've been doing. This is what the Thunder have been up to since the beginning of the season. They are now 11-1. They have a point differential that is crazy, crazy good, well above it was 13 going into that game. It is higher now against the plucky upstart Lakers. The little engine that could. And I joke, but the Lakers are surprising a lot of people this year, not just from being good. I think people expected them to be pretty good, but the level to which they've played without LeBron taking the floor at all, with Luka missing 4 games, with Austin Reaves missing some time. And yet the Lakers are right near the top of the Western Conference. This is a major test for them early in the season. We'll break down in a second. Also talk to you about a really interesting article from Dave McMenamin about the impending free agency of Austin Reaves, who is getting richer and richer by the game. But
Nico getting fired in Dallas, which is obviously directly related to the Lakers and Luka.
Oh, really? What for? What did he do wrong?
That finally mercifully for Dallas fans happened. Definitely going to get into that tonight.
Need to let people know that today's episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Apparently there was an 8 a.m. Dallas time meeting for Nico to meet with the owner. By 8:30, they were looking for new management. Can't imagine what Nico did wrong. I look at this game tonight, Andy, and I'm really excited, not necessarily because I expect the Lakers to win, although they did play the Thunder very effectively last year. They were one of the teams that actually in the West who played most effectively against Oklahoma City. But I look at this as, particularly given that the game is on their floor, as a really good litmus test to where the Lakers are. They don't need winning the game would be great, but they don't need to dominate it. But you go into Oklahoma City by my belief and play a really competitive game. This shows that you are right, that nothing about this start is fluky.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the Lakers played the Thunder. They've played actually the last couple of years, the Thunder very well in the LeBron AD era and in the Luka LeBron Austin era. Last year, they beat them They played them 2 times in 3 days. They beat them once by almost 30 points on their floor. And then they played them again in Oklahoma City, and things were going very well until Luka got ejected in the fourth quarter.
Oh.
Yeah, a ref thought Luka was talking to him. He was actually jawing with a fan. They were having fun. The ref made himself the main character. Luka got ejected in the fourth, and the Thunder outscored the Lakers 29-12 after that. Luka had been playing well. The Lakers have been playing well. So this is a good test. The Lakers obviously won't have LeBron, but the Thunder at minimum won't have Jaylen Williams. I don't know about Lu Dort. And for my ESPN LA 710 weekly Lakers show, Lakers Talk, I had Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder on to preview the game. There's a few things he said that I thought were interesting. First of all, and I have dug around and have not been able to find any quotes from Mark Dagnall or the Thunder or anything specific to Wednesday's game. But Rylan said that thus far early in the season, they have not played Chet Holmgren in back-to-backs because he's had some back issues and stuff like that. And his general health over the last few years has been at times difficult to maintain. However, he only played 25 minutes in the front end of this back-to-back. And clearly it was not that much of a struggle because he scored 23 points in 25 minutes plus 11 rebounds, 2 assists. So
he missed 0 shots from anywhere on the floor, 9 of 9 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3-point range, 3 of 3 from the line.
So theoretically, this could be a game that is considered an exception just because his night was relatively easy, but we'll see. Don't know about Lu Dort's availability. It's interesting talking with Rylan about the strengths, and there are a lot of them, and the relative weaknesses of the Thunder. He mentioned, their defense has been number 1 this season, despite not having Jaylen Williams, second team all defense on the team at all so far this season. He mentioned that they have been kind of weaker in guarding the mid-range, and the mid-range been kind of vulnerable. And I was like, that's interesting because the Lakers are the best team in the league for their mid-range field goal percentage. Rui obviously has been crushing it there, but DeAndre Ayton's good, Luka's good, Austin's good. So I'm like, this could potentially be a swing factor for the game. And I suppose it could be, but to put this in perspective, rather than being the best in the league at this particular section, or like the second best, they're merely the 8th best. Like this is one of their vulnerable spots where they are 8th best in the league, where they are legitimately vulnerable or just have not done a good job conceding it, whatever, is corner threes. They are one of the worst teams in the league in terms of their overall field goal percentage from the corners. I believe they are actually dead last. The potential problem there is that the Lakers are currently 28th in the league for shooting corner threes. And when I was talking about this with my producer at Lakers Talk, he wondered how much of that could have been just Vando. I did the math. If you subtract Vando's 2 of 10 from the corners, the Lakers do go up from 28th to 27th.
He's got 2?
He's got 2.
I didn't think he had 2.
He's got 1 corner 3 from the left corner and 1 from the right corner. But
that man is never going to get that 50th career 3-pointer.
He's past it. I think he's on 51 now.
I thought he was still stuck on 49. Good for him.
No, that was I believe that was pre the makes. But either way, Vando ain't helping the corner 3 project, but he's not the reason they're being drugged down, to be totally honest. It's really Austin, Dalton Connect, and Marcus Smart that are doing the most damage. I look at statistics like that too. Not so much what the Lakers are doing, because I think the Lakers kind of are what they are as a 3-point shooting team. And while I don't think they're terrible, they've got shooters. What they aren't is a team that should be orienting themselves towards 3-pointers. They shouldn't be overly aggressive in their scheming to try to exploit a perceived weakness with somebody's 3-point defense. But also too, I look at, with a team as strong defensively as Oklahoma City, at a number like that, and would need, at least for myself, to whether it's reviewing film, talk, like
get to the why, because it's clearly that, Oklahoma City probably could be much better at that if they really devoted themselves to it. Percentages are obviously subject to some degree of luck, particularly this early in the year. So you don't know how that plays into it. And you are going to give up something somewhere by choice when you're a good team. And so I don't expect at the least, Andy, that the Lakers would try to, would see a number like that and try to exploit it. I think they will try to run their offense, try to get in the mid-range. And what they're going to have to do, I think, I'll tell you next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. And FanDuel, if you are the NBA, we keep telling you the NBA is back. You should know by now. It's going to be game number 12 for the Lakers, but the NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action. Some people like
to ease into it.
There's no better place to get in on that action once you're ready, 12 games in, than FanDuel. The officials,
no rush.
The officials, no, really, there's a rush because this offer that I'm going to tell you about later might go away. But anyway, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if this is the start of the game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It makes every game more exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Locked on Lakers is also brought to you by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, Andy, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. And that's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards that you can actually use. When you pay your rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels, airlines, future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you and your entire neighborhood. Built has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans, because if you're out grabbing food at your local restaurant or going to the gym, you can earn rewards there. All these places that you're going, it is an opportunity for you to earn money towards your rent. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. One of the things that I think makes games like this such an opportunity is, Oklahoma City's offense is going to be somewhat dictated a little bit maybe by who plays. If Chet plays, it looks different than if he doesn't, and all of this other stuff. But the guys that they plug in, whether it's AJ Mitchell, who's been fantastic to start the season, he was actually starting to break out a little bit last year, and then he got hurt. But whether you're talking about AJ Mitchell, whether you're talking about the other Jaylen Williams, they plug in a bunch of people, and the offensive talent might go down compared to all NBA Jaylen Williams, but the defense does not really suffer even when somebody like Lu Dort isn't available. The Oklahoma City Thunder continue to play outstanding defense. So it's not just about not turning the ball over. It is the discipline of, can you execute your offense trip after trip after trip after trip after trip? Because for the Lakers to play good defense, I think in this game, a lot of it is going to be predicated on their offense. If they're sloppy, if they do what they did in Atlanta in terms of giving the ball away, they're going to get run out of the gym. Even if they're not sharp, but take care of the ball like they did against Charlotte with a lower turnover number, they got a chance to be in this game. They are going to be forced to execute at a really high level. And to this point, Andy, against better competition, they've generally elevated to the occasion.
Well, you hit an item that was on my list, and just to dig into it further, we talked about heading into the Hornets game. They were 28th in the league for steals, dead last in deflections, dead last in terms of points off turnovers. They're a lousy defense anyway. The Lakers did a good job against Charlotte, but some of that is the incapabilities of the Hornets to force that type of stuff. Right now, the Thunder lead the league for steals, 10.5 a game. That's without Jaylen Williams, who averaged 1.5 last season. And as I mentioned earlier, all defense team last year. They have 7 guys right now averaging at least 1 steal a game. If Lu Dort doesn't play, that makes it a mere 6. And Cason Wallace leads the league with 2.5 steals a game. This will come as no shock to anybody. They lead the league in points off turnovers, which would be a problem for anyone, but especially the Lakers, who frankly suck defending in transition. So like Luka and Austin, they got to be opportunistic with hit-ahead possibilities, but they got to be careful. We talked about Marcus Smart and some of the adventure against Charlotte. You can't have that against this Thunder team. They will eat those type of iffy passes alive. Like Vando's got to take care of the ball. Like everyone just needs to be really, really on top of their decisions. Like their decisions against the Thunder are going to be huge.
And it's not, look, I mean, the Lakers weren't as athletic as Oklahoma City last year either and played this game. So, but they can't get into a track meet with the Thunder. They can't try to out athlete Oklahoma City. It's not going to work. And so,
I feel similar to what you said about the corner 3 thing, Brian. I feel very confident the Lakers are not going to try that either.
No, and it's what they really need to lean into is their physicality, that physical nature and that physical play. They actually have more size now, with Ayton available to them. To go along with a little bit more athleticism in the second unit with Jackson Hayes and stuff like that. So they have that, that hop, against a guy like maybe like Hartenstein. I'm sorry, the size to go against like a Hartenstein or something like that, perhaps more effectively than they did last year. But, they need to be able to execute their way around the kind of pressure that Oklahoma City is going to put on them. And Luka has been masterful and remains masterful at drawing, allowing himself to be, to draw a double higher on the floor because he feels confident he can pass out of anything. But what did the Lakers do with that second pass? What happens to the third pass in that sequence? Are they able to turn if Oklahoma City does put pressure high on the floor against Luka and create a sort of 4-on-3 at the 3-point line and below? Can the Lakers execute that effectively and make Oklahoma City pay for that kind of overcommitment to Luka? And if they don't overcommit to Luka, can Luka make them pay for not doing it?
Yeah. You mentioned that the Lakers have more size now than when they faced the Thunder in those 2 games in the post Luka era. Ryland mentioned DeAndre Ayton and like that presence as something that he thought could be a difference maker for the Lakers in terms of just having more size. It'll be interesting to see again if Chet plays or if his minutes are limited at all. But that he thought that Ayton could, in his own right, be a difficult matchup at times for both Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, depending on what the situation is, where they're on the floor, stuff like that. But I think he was looking for that combination of increased size with with Ayton, and Rui actually did not play in the game. I don't remember why, but he didn't play in the game that the Lakers lost. So those 2 guys adding a little more athleticism, more size could be a factor there as well. The Thunder, for what it's worth, also, they're not a great offensive rebounding team, and they're not a great second chance points team. So that can hopefully help the Lakers.
How often do they miss?
Well, you know what? I was looking that up. Their 2-point percentage is really high, but they're not a great 3-point shooting team. And the point being, they're not a team that makes a ton out of, forget even just second chance opportunities, just offensive rebounds. Mm-hmm. So the only reason I bring this up is the Lakers are not a great defensive rebounding team. So they may be able to catch a break in that sense against the Thunder if they are really mindful of trying to create one and out possessions.
Yeah, and some teams just don't. That's by design. They're not,
Sure.
intentionally trying to put a lot of pressure on the glass. But like, if anywhere where there's a play, what they really can't afford is to have those relative weaknesses of the Thunder to allow them to be a strength on Wednesday night. Like,
that's my point. That's my point.
Don't take a team that isn't good on the offensive glass and give them the opportunity to become good.
That is exactly, you're making the point well that I was looking to put it out there.
So I'm just excited to watch it. Like, I don't necessarily expect the Lakers to win in Oklahoma City, but I do expect them to come out and play a good game. I do expect that it will be competitive. I hope Chet plays, because these become much more of a measuring stick, and you're able to do it. For what it's worth, Oklahoma City doesn't play again until Saturday, and it's against the Hornets. So, maybe they feel like with 2 days off and a light work on Tuesday, that Chet can come back for the back-to-back. So we'll see. Nico Harrison, Andy. Is he the third greatest GM in Lakers history? I'm not sure. Is he the third or fourth? But he just lost his job in Dallas in one of the most amazing arcs, obviously related to the start the Lakers are having right now. We'll get to that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, and admit it, you probably are, it's time to start saying yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Say yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your phone and keep your same number in contacts, and that's huge because I've had the same number for like 25 years. I could never learn a new one, but you're getting the same quality service you had before, but just for a fraction of the price. So that's obviously better. You can be up and running in minutes. Are you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Upfront payment of $45 is required. It's the equivalent of $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may be slow above 35 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
We did see this comment here from Derek Malfoy in the chat. Oklahoma City forced you to turn the ball over, and then they beat you in transition. The Lakers' transition defense needs to be superb. And obviously that gets to the turnover point that we were making before. What I would reiterate, though, too, is it's not just about turnovers. It's also about the shot quality. If the Lakers are taking shots out of the rhythm of their offense, Oklahoma City is going to get out in transition anyway. You are going to have bad defensive possessions because your defense is going to be imbalanced. So it's really the quality of your offense, a step past turnovers, that I think has to be really high. This is truly one of those games where bad offense could get blamed for bad defense could get blamed, but bad offense is actually the problem. So just something to keep an eye out for. We'll get to this Reaves stuff here in a minute. We'll see if we have enough time for it today. But it's to say the least an evergreen story. Dave McMenamin has a great feature on Austin's impending free agency. The parts about wanting to stay in LA, finish a Laker, not necessarily looking for every dollar he can find. None of that is necessarily new, but the context around Austin's free agency, obviously different given the all-star level that he's been playing at over the course of this year. But man alive, Andy, the NBA, in terms of NBA news, this Nico Harrison thing is just great. The swing from 2-year window, fortune favors the bold, and all this stuff to fired record speed.
Yeah. And it was a dismissal that felt very much inevitable and necessary. this was one of those situations that had become untenable for Dallas. Obviously, we're referring to the aftermath of Nico Harrison's decision that, it should be noted, was signed off on by Patrick Dumont, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And I think
it's sort of an unfrozen caveman lawyer aesthetic, if we're being honest.
He's been frozen a long time, because if you ever hear him talk about basketball, it seems like he hasn't seen any since about 1986. But the aftermath of the Luka trade, between the team immediately going into free fall last season, this rough start they've had this season, the fire Nico chants that have been just loud as bleep every single game that Dallas plays at home, just the rising anger, like true anger from Mavericks fans, is really something that just made it where this had to happen. I think Patrick Dumont needs to take more public and specific accountability for his role in making this happen. And I would say, based on the open letter he wrote to Mavericks fans, his first opportunity to do that, he's 0 for 1.
Swing and a miss.
Well, I would say it's a swing and a miss, except you have to actually try to swing in order to miss. Where the Mavericks go from here is going to be fascinating to watch. One thing that I will note now, just because I've seen it in the comments section, I've seen it directed at us on Twitter at Cam Brothers. No, the Lakers should not, nor will they, trade back for Anthony Davis. That's not.
What would that even look like? I mean,
you might have to trade Austin just to make the math work.
What I think is one of the things that I think is fascinating about this, beyond the sort of,
or trade Luka.
Somebody, I forget who it was, suggested that, like, if the Lakers were offered AD and Cooper Flag for Luka, they would say no. And I think that's absolutely right. I don't think they would do that. Luka's 26. The beyond this just sort of amazing car wreck nature of this, and how predictable a lot of it was, given this sort of arrogance, to be honest, that was displayed after this trade. There was very little, I felt humility coming from Nico, and he would talk about this stuff, and it was there was a lot of confidence and a lot of arrogance, and it didn't work last year. Guys got hurt. It wasn't working this year, and this was direct democracy at play. Like, fans were simply not going to allow this franchise to move forward with him in charge of it. It wasn't going to work.
It's shocking to me that, I mean, I guess you could say with the Dumonts, because they were new on the job in terms of being owners of this family, and like we said, they clearly have not paid much attention to basketball maybe ever, but certainly not recently, and this seems to be a plaything for them, the owning the Mavericks. But Nico should have known, of all people, just how much Luka meant to this organization. It would have been like the Lakers deciding to trade Kobe, the fans predictably revolting, be like, oh, what? Now that I think about it, they were kind of attached to the guy. They did seem to like Kobe.
I knew he sold a lot of jerseys, but
in retrospect, there were signs, and I guess we missed them.
Our bad. But like
that it took them by shock is just
all of it
stunning.
And so you look at what the other part of this that I think is really interesting and highly relevant to the Lakers is the impact on the Western Conference, because I mean, I know you were very down on Dallas going into the season. I certainly wasn't buying some of the post-trade, like, here comes the dark horse, championship candidate in the Western Conference, because they got the defense, now they got the front line. I was like, no, I don't see that. But I thought they could certainly be a back end playoff team if things went right or whatever. But the where they are now, there's a lot of talk of trading AD now. There's a lot of talk of trading Daniel Gafford when he becomes.
They should have traded AD or looked to trade him.
Of course they should.
The minute they landed Cooper Flag.
Yes, absolutely. But and there's talk about trading Daniel Gafford and all these other things. So like if you're taking a team that was expected to be at least one of the competitive teams in the West and dismantling it. B, those parts are going to appear somewhere if they start making those trades. And there are a couple teams like that, like you look around the conference, the Clippers right now, who are certainly not going to punt on this season in the way that the Mavs might, but the Clippers are struggling mightily so far this year. The Western Conference, the back end of it right now is a little bit softer, I think, than maybe some people expected. New Orleans, I think internally at least had higher hopes for this season. They are dreadful. And so there could be a lot of player movement from the back end of the conference. And meanwhile, the teams at the top, given how the Lakers have played, given what San Antonio is doing, given Denver looks like they are, if there was any question, we back, baby. They looking good. Houston with their new lineup looks like. So there may not be as much depth in the conference as there was last year. So obviously Oklahoma City, but man alive, the top of it is just as bananas as it was, except now we could have a lot of redistribution that makes this Western Conference even more interesting.
The Mavericks could become the equivalent of those chop shops where cars get stolen, they get taken to, and they just get
that's a great
down.
Yeah,
they get stripped down, and someone's got an engine driving around, and someone's got a carburetor, and someone's got two wheels, and someone else has got the other two wheels. Like,
right? Because don't you agree? Like the easiest out for it's Michael Finley right now, who's sort of taken over. Interim, but I however that goes,
they're co-GMs, which by the way, that's a setup that's going to work great.
Nope. Still not working down there in Dallas. Plenty of material for our friend Nick Angstad at Locked On Mavs, but that was a bad idea. But isn't like the easiest thing for the next person to do to take it apart and try to because if you try to go with Nico's vision, you're kind of on the hook for what they've got right now. If you're a GM of that team and you want to buy yourself some time, even independent of whether or not it's probably the right thing to do, and it probably is, I think you protect yourself a little bit by making those trades, trying to recoup some picks and building around Flag.
Well, it's fortunate for Michael Finley or whoever his co is, I forgot his name, or whoever ultimately ends up doing the job without an interim tag. The protectionist move is also the correct move. It would be insane to do anything other than go into rebuild mode, particularly they actually have their first round draft pick this year. It's the only one they're going to control for a while. This draft class is considered every bit as good as the rookie class that we have right now. Anything other than a tear down and, again, turning yourself into a chop shop, but legal, makes no other sense. Something else, though, that occurred to me when I was thinking about this, Brian, like in terms of what Dallas is going through right now and this open revolt on the heels of a both controversial and in a lot of ways jaw-dropping, what the F were you people thinking trade. This could have been the Lakers in the aftermath of the Russ deal. Like this there could have been fire Rob or fire Pelinka chants going on after every game. Because, I mean, I wouldn't say that the Russ trade was at the insanity scale of the Luka trade just because Luka was entering his prime. He's shown himself capable of carrying a team to the finals, 5 straight first team All NBA, yada, yada, yada. But the Russ trade was pretty close. It nailed shut the window for the LeBron AD era.
Deal. Yeah.
And it both indirectly and directly cost them Alex Caruso. It really, I don't know if LeBron and AD ever would have won another championship together, but that move basically shoved it all in a coffin and said it's dead. I don't know if the same reaction never happened because there were more faces and more people that you could blame. You know, a lot of people went towards LeBron and AD and clutch. Russ was such a polarizing, divisive personality that a lot of the anger was directed at him. And make no mistake, Pelinka and Genie got plenty of heat as well, but it never reached that same level of what happened in Dallas, which I'm not saying in retrospect, I wish the fans had acted that way or anything like that. I'm just saying it just dawned on me. I'm like, the Lakers really could have had the exact same situation.
It wasn't as bad because they didn't trade away their star players.
Yes.
You know, the players that left in that deal were not the kinds of players that you're like, I'm sorry, what? Like the I'm sorry, what was who they acquired and all that kind of stuff. And it was a terrible, terrible idea. But what it did do was the difference between that trade and the Luka trade from Dallas' perspective is it put the Lakers on this really bad trajectory, but it was a much slower downward trajectory. Like it didn't automatically, rip out the next 10 years of it didn't seem like it made it so, had the Luka trade not happened, the Lakers still would have been trying to undo the effects of the Westbrook trade. The difference is they would have been trying to undo it from a spot where they were like the 6th or 7th best team in the Western Conference with zero ability to do anything.
But it nonetheless, though, it still was a dismantle. Luka took that Mavs team to the finals, and then they moved him. It's not completely apples to apples, but it is apples to fruit. Like it still was dismantling the core of a championship team, not far removed from it, in a way that was very like, wait, they did what? Like that Russ is clearly not going to work here. Like, and it just dawned on me. I'm like, that really could have been a Laker uproar as well. And it never reached that point. People were pissed, but it never reached that point.
Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel. We, of course, will be back after the game to break it all down. And then we'll get deeper into this Austin Reaves thing before the end of the week, because I think it creates a fascinating dynamic for this offseason, especially if LeBron chooses not to return. We will see everyone after the game.